It's your boy AJ for the win back again, and today we got NBA players being scammed by fraudulent CPAs saying that they went to Harvard and things like that. Today we bringing you a story of Peggy, man, and not Bundy. Peggy Fulford, who was convicted in 2018 for defrauding professional athletes, including Dennis Rodman, Ricky Williams. She was released from her 10-year prison sentence. She had a 10-year prison sentence, bro. Federal. In April 2023, after serving part of her low security sentence federal prison in Alabama, she was transferred to a halfway house program in Orlando, Florida. Fulford has pleaded guilty to interstate transportation of stolen property, admitting to embezzling millions, posing as a financial advisor. She falsely claimed to have degrees from Harvard Business School and Harvard Law School, convincing her clients that she was managing their finances without charging fees. Instead, she diverted their funds for personal use. Despite her release, Fulford is required to complete her sentence under supervised conditions until April 2026, bro. She was kind of get to the bag, bro. That takes a little bit of know-how and elbow grease to put that play together. Let's look into our boy here doing a reaction. Ray Williams Johnson, man. Let's see what he got going on, man.
Remember that basketball player, Dennis Rodman? Remember when that woman stole millions of dollars from him? So the story starts with this woman, Peggy. And Peggy is from New Orleans, and she really wants to be rich. Like, she'll do anything to get that money. And one day, in the 90s, an opportunity arrives for her to do just that. Because her friend gets drafted into the NBA. This guy, Travis. And so Travis gets drafted and he gets a contract worth several $1,000,000. And Peggy finds out about this and she's like, oh, I'm gonna get that money. And so she decides to start lying to everyone and saying she got a degree from Harvard Law and that she used to work on Wall Street. And so then she goes to Travis and she asks him, hey, let me manage your finances for you. I went to Harvard Law and I worked on Wall Street. And Travis, he's a busy guy. He ain't got time to be managing finances. So he's like, all right. And so she gets to work managing his money. And by managing his money, I mean she's funneling it into her own secret bank account. And she's spending it on herself. And she's like out shopping and buying herself like designer drip and stuff like that.
Stop. Don't get a HELOC until you know about HEI. HELOCs are loans. You borrow, pay interest, and make monthly.
But 5 years later, Travis finally somehow realizes that Peggy has taken nearly $2 million from him and spent it on herself. And so, boom, he fires her. However, other than that, he doesn't want to make a big deal out of it, and so Peggy doesn't get into any real trouble. And this is a mistake, because it allows her to move on and keep the con going with other people. And then one day, around 2001, Peggy gets another opportunity. She finds out her interior designer friend is doing a job for this NFL player, a rookie named Ricky. And so Peggy tags along, and that is when she meets Ricky, and she charms him up, and she's like, I have a law degree and I worked on Wall Street. And soon enough, they become friends, and she eventually offers to help manage his finances. And Ricky, he's like, all right. And so, pow, they're off to the races, and she's helped managing Ricky's finances, and she's like opening bank accounts for him, she's managing his investments, helping his bills get paid on time. She's like, don't worry, I'll take care of everything. And of course, by take care of everything, she really means she's gonna low-key funnel his money into her own bank account. And so, over time, she becomes really close to Ricky, like family. She helps him and his girlfriend plan their wedding. She drives the girlfriend home from the hospital after they give birth to their kid. And like when Ricky gets traded to a different football team and has to move, Peggy moves to the new city with them to stay close to them. So Ricky, not knowing he's being robbed by his own friend, he thinks Peggy is doing a really good job. In fact, he thinks she's doing such a good job that eventually word spreads around and suddenly her management services are in high demand. And she and her company start managing a bunch of other pro athletes. And that is when she meets this guy, Dennis Rodman. Now, Rodman was a really famous basketball player, but at this time, around the mid 2000s, he's actually retired. But he's still got a ton of money to manage. And so Peggy meets Rodman, and she's like, I went to Harvard Law and I worked on Wall Street. And Rodman's like, all right. Regardless, he needs Peggy's help. He's in a bad place financially and emotionally. Apparently, he's been drinking a lot lately. And so Peggy steps in and she starts managing his finances. And just like with Ricky, she becomes close friends with Rodman. And so she also starts mothering him, like reminding him when his drinking is getting out of control, stuff like that. And she legitimately does some good for him. And over the next few years, Rodman, he kind of starts getting his life back together a bit. Like things are looking better for him. And when he gets inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, he of course, on stage, thanks Peggy.
Peggy King, Elton King, the family that these guys are taking care of me these days. Thank you, Peggy.
Now, as you've already predicted, while she's helping Rodman manage his life and his finances, she's also funneling his money directly into her own pocket. And at this point, she's already stolen over $1 million from him. And this poor guy has no idea. Meanwhile, Peggy's just out here living the good life. Like, she's got all this money now, and she's spending it on herself. She's like, oh, wait.
So she's stealing money and getting paid a fee for her service? That's cold. Peggy, you was cold. Peggy got game, though. Free her and it's backwards. You know what I'm saying? Because when you got millions, you gotta do your due diligence, bro. Gotta do your due diligence, man. Verify these businesses, bro. Verify people's academic backgrounds, ask for their transcripts, bro.
And Gucci, like Gucci dress, Gucci bag, Gucci shoes. She lives in a big-ass mansion. She's got a whole fleet of expensive cars, a Bentley, a Maserati. I mean, she could at least attempt to hide her fraud a little better. But not only that, as if the situation couldn't get any more ridiculous, Peggy has such a good reputation and she's so popular with people that she pairs up with some producers and she gets a deal to shoot and star in her own reality TV show on BET called The Peggy Show. And it's about this woman who manages the finances of all these pro athletes. And they actually film a pilot for it. However, the show doesn't end up going to air. Regardless, everything is working for her. I mean, at this point, she seems more successful than most of the people she's managing. And for some reason, no one questions anything. Until one day, everything changes because Rodman is chilling in his condo and suddenly, boom, his power goes off. And Rodman's like, oh, that's kind of weird. So he has an assistant look into it. And it turns out the power bill for that condo hadn't been paid in months. In fact, a lot of his bills hadn't been paid in months.
Now, Peggy's only job as a CPA is to take care of his incoming mail and incoming monies and incoming bills and making sure outgoing checks and outgoing um it's called what is it called? Accounts payables and accounts receivables. All right. And your only job as a CPA, because I worked at an accounting firm before, is to pay people's bills, make sure they're not overspending, and to make sure that they're investing into these like you know, different stocks and things like that, different accounts like that. So she wasn't even paying his bill. I'm talking about from when you receive a credit card, you open it up, you do all of that. No, celebrities don't and rich people don't do it. They have other people, they pay other people to open up their mail, organize it, pay their bills. She wasn't even doing her job, bro. That's easy to do. You don't need to go to school to pay a bill.
Who was supposed to make sure all of Rodman's bills are paid on time? The woman managing his finances, Peggy. Not only that, around this same time, around 2013, the IRS hits Ricky and his girlfriend, who is now his wife. They get hit with a fat-ass tax bill, telling him he now owes them $450,000. Plus, Ricky's reign.
Oh my. Okay, no. A CPA firm is supposed to have a tax department as well. They're supposed to be taking care of your taxes, hands down. Wow, she got the IRS on this.
Rover suddenly gets repossessed one day. And Ricky's like, what the f? And of course, guess who was supposed to make sure all of Ricky's taxes and car payments are made on time? Peggy. Then they get a call from the wife of another different NFL player, and their car had also gotten repossessed, and their debit card got declined at the grocery store or something like that. And guess who was in charge of making those payments? Peggy! And so all of these people are like, what the hell is happening? Where's Peggy? Meanwhile, Peggy is like, oh shit. And she ghosts everyone. Like, she's not answering emails, she's not answering texts. And so they start putting two and two together. And they realize that Peggy hasn't been paying anyone's bills on time because she's been stealing from all of them.
New Eden.
For years. And so Ricky's wife starts investigating and looking into it. And she discovers what you already know. Peggy never went to Harvard Law. She never worked on Wall Street. It was all a lie. So then, pow, Ricky and his wife file a lawsuit against her, claiming that she defrauded him out of millions of dollars. Then, in 2015, kaboom, this story hits the news. And now it's a national headline. And around this time, an FBI agent is on his lunch break reading the sports section of the news. And he sees that Ricky, this NFL player, is suing his own financial manager, Peggy. And he's like, oh, well, I'm going to look into this because this sounds like it could be a criminal case. And so he starts looking into it. And looking into it, he discovers that old Peggy is overseeing more than 85 secret bank accounts, with money bouncing around between all of them, making it all extremely hard to trace. So this turned out to be a way more complicated scheme than anyone had imagined. But anyway, so now the FBI is involved, and they're investigating. And at this point, Peggy's life is already started to fall apart. I mean, her own famous clients are all suing her. So most people are afraid to work with her now. And so she has to file bankruptcy, and she has to sell all of her cars, and Dennis Rodman is obviously no longer talking to her. And then so eventually the FBI goes to Peggy's house, and there they question her and they ask her all about these things she's being accused of. And of course, Peggy is stubborn and she denies all of it, and she says she didn't do anything wrong. However, the FBI knows she's full of shit. And so, bam, Peggy gets arrested. Here's her mugshot. And she ends up taking a plea deal, and she's sentenced to 10 years in prison. And she has to pay everyone back, which in total is $5.7 million. She took $5.7 million from these guys. Damn, girl.
Yeah, man, this is absolutely bonkers, bro. She ain't the only one, you know? If you making millions, you know what I'm saying? I think people need to start making their wife go to school to, if it ain't medicine, if it ain't law, you gotta help manage these monies, baby. You know what I'm saying? Man, 5.7 million. You would think if she was managing people's money, she could have made 1 million and been fine from there. Like, you know? This is absurd. But anyways, man, it's your boy AJ. Until next time, man.